Wait, let's watch that video. Din, 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 din. The collapse of South Africa. Wait, what? The collapse of South Africa, a warning to the West.
Murdered in South Africa. Dozens of white farmers are murdered every year. Few of these crimes are ever solved. And it's not just Afrikaans farmers that are suffering. South Africa used to look like a developed European country. World-class infrastructure, strong mining sector, an educated professional class. Cities like Cape Town and Johannesburg were cosmopolitan symbols of modernity and opportunity. But today, 30 years after the fall of apartheid, South Africa's energy system is so run down that they have to implement rolling blackouts. Corruption and cronyism are rife. Most murders go unsolved. Businesses are strangled by racial quotas that entrench in law discrimination against the white minority. Most educated people are
Yeah, I'm watching a video apparently from this lady. So there are many people like her actually who always make these kind of videos about the collapse of South Africa. And the title is The Collapse of South Africa, a Warning to the West. I don't know why she's warning the West. I'm not quite sure. How will the collapse of South Africa affect the world, the West? Like, why would you want to warn the West? Like, how does the collapse of South Africa or any African country affect the West? I have no idea. I don't know. I'm just gonna watch. I'm just gonna watch this lady, watch this video, and learn maybe there are things happening in South Africa that I am not aware of. But when from the beginning of the video, what you can see is the propaganda, which is something that everyone knows. You know what they did. You know the crosses. You know these crosses. So these crosses, for those who don't know, these are not the crosses of white people who were murdered or white farmers who were murdered in South Africa. These crosses are not for dead people actually. These crosses like had to do with, I don't know, some sort of ceremony or that they did in South Africa a long time ago. Those crosses are not for the people who are dead or farmers who are claimed to be, I don't know, to be killed in South Africa. I don't know about, but the crosses are misleading. I can tell you that the crosses are misleading. The crosses are misleading without a doubt. 100%, 100% sure. You can do your own research. You can find out, and you will know that these crosses are definitely misleading. These crosses do not represent the white farmers who have been killed in South Africa or black farmers who have been killed in South Africa. Are there farmers being killed in South Africa? 100% sure, yes. But are they only white farmers? Definitely no. In South Africa, I can tell you that the crime rate is very high. Any person gets killed, literally. It doesn't matter if you're white, you're black, you're pink, you're purple. People get killed daily because of the crime rate, which is high. But anyways, I'm just gonna listen to this lady and learn whatever that she's, I don't know, spreading. But one thing that is fascinating for me is the title so far. The title is quite interesting because she's saying the collapse of South Africa, a warning to the West. I don't understand. Like, what are you warning the West about? I don't understand. Like, how does the collapse of South Africa have to do with the West? If South Africa collapses, it collapses. Who cares? I mean, it only affects South Africans, the people who are living in that country. I don't think it will affect the West anyhow. But, anyways, she's warning the West. Let's hear.
Each one of these crosses represents a farmer murdered in South Africa.
Oh, that's what she said. Each one of those crosses represent a farmer murdered in South Africa. You know, do you know what's very interesting, right? I think I think there is going to be a very serious case with respect to the white genocide that was kind of propaganded in South Africa. There is going to be a very big case after the Iran war. There is definitely going to be a big case with respect to this case of white genocide, because I have been seeing some legal representatives following it, especially because they're trying to find like a legal ground that, because they need to find the legal ground as to like how can they sue these people for spreading propaganda, or sue the people who came about this falsehood of what genocide. So I just hope that people who are sharing like this falsehood of what genocide, I just hope that they themselves, they are ready for the whatever that is going to come after, because many of these people, right, especially if you're a big influencer, if you are like a you have a big platform, many of these people, they know the truth, but they get paid to spread propaganda. It's not a mystery. It happens everywhere in the world. People get paid a lot of chunk of money to spread lies. So they know that they're spreading lies. But as of now, I don't think South Africa has found like a legal ground to to charge these people. But I think that there is going to be a big case against these allegations, because they do tarnish a reputation of a country, especially because it is false. But if it was true, then it would have been. It would also go to the ICJ, because it's a crime. You cannot kill people because of the color of their skin. It's wrong. It's crime. It's genocide. If let's say it was true. So, but in this case, it's not true.
Africa. Dozens of white farmers are murdered every year. Few of these crimes are ever solved. And it's not just Afrikaans farmers that are suffering. South Africa used to look like a developed European
You
country.
know, this is something that provokes, I think, many South Africans, because you will hear people say, these people, they're stuck up on the history, right? And then they're the ones who also bring history. So when they bring the history of South Africa, they try to bring like the good, apartheid, right? In as much as it was against black people, yes, for white people it was a good regime because they benefited. They had beautiful, beautiful things like beautiful houses. They were able to live in beautiful fertile lands. They were able to do any job they wanted to do. So it's for, as a white person, because she's a white person, I suppose she looks white. So when you talk about the history, right, and then you just, I don't know, quote, or you just take the positivity of it, and then you neglect the negativity of it. That's what frustrates people, because now she's talking about apartheid. She's romanticizing apartheid. Yes, apartheid, it was good for white people. It's not a secret. Everyone knows. But it was discriminatory against black people. So that's apartheid. But like when they bring this apartheid to arguments today, they try to make apartheid seem as if it was like this, progressive regime in South Africa. It was progress. Yes, it was progressive for white people, not for black people. So if you're going to bring the history of South Africa, right? You guys, you must also take it when black people, they bring the dark side of apartheid. Don't You can talk about the, I know, the beautiful developments that the white people, I don't know, did. It's beautiful that they constructed those beautiful European buildings there, and they started beautiful business. Those things are beautiful, but those things, they were not for South Africans. They were built or designed or created for white people, for the white regime. So when you talk about history, if you are going to be selective about it, do not get angry when people reiterate, when people respond, because when you talk, especially apartheid is a very sensitive topic actually, especially amongst black people. Black people amongst ourselves, we don't talk about apartheid. And today, with this propaganda that you see going on around the world, it is infuriating a lot of black South Africans, because we don't talk about apartheid amongst ourselves. We don't like apartheid, we don't talk about apartheid. But they are trying to change or create this narrative make apartheid seem as if it was like this progressive regime. It wasn't, and it will never be.
World-class infrastructure, strong mining sector,
For who? For who?
educated professional class. Cities like Cape Town and Johannesburg were cosmopolitan symbols of
Like,
modernity.
who cares? Like, I feel like this is something that I feel like when people they don't get it. Yo, nobody cares. Like, you can demolish all those buildings in South Africa. I can guarantee you that not a single black South African will care. They will cry today, but tomorrow they will adapt. They can live in rambles. They can live in shacks, in mikukus, in huts. Black people don't care. They don't care about those big buildings or whatever those things you call them. Oh, we don't even have skyscrapers. Nobody cares about development. Like, one thing about people don't understand about development is that those things you can demolish them today, they mean nothing. The most important thing for us is humanity, not buildings, construction, businesses. Those things don't matter. The only thing that matters is a human being's life. People not getting killed. That's what matters, not buildings. Who cares about buildings? You die and leave it behind. So what's the point?
And opportunity. But today,
What up? You see, like they're trying to make apartheid as if like it was so good for black people. It created many opportunities for black people. This is what I'm saying. This is why you see now a lot of black people are getting angry. You see why black people are getting angry? It's because of this nonsense. This person is not even from South Africa. I don't know where she's from, but she's not from South Africa. But she's romanticizing apartheid.
South Africa's energy system is so run down that they have to implement rolling blackouts. Corruption and cronyism are rife.
You know, one thing I love and appreciate about my country as South African is that we are not delusional. People are aware that ANC is corrupt, and even myself, I know that ANC is corrupt. But I am not going to now say apartheid was better than ANC. That's bullshit. You know, that's nonsense. ANC just hold ANC accountability for their corruption. You don't have to bring apartheid in the conversation. You can just say ANC is corrupt. That is a fact. It's true.
Most murders go unsolved. Businesses are struggling.
Yeah, it's not a mystery. There is an Epstein file in the United States right now. People are still waiting for arrest. Nobody has been arrested. Please.
By racial quotas that entrench in law discrimination against the white minority. Most
What? You see, when people lie, you make people angry unnecessarily. You make people angry unnecessarily because this is the reality of South Africa, and many people don't understand. I'm from a small town, and in South Africa, it's the same. Each and every small town, for example, we have the suburbs. In the suburbs, only white people live in the suburbs. Black people always live outside the town. We are the ones who drive taxis to towns. White people they walk to towns. So
educated people are leaving, and the promise of national reconciliation has been replaced by grievance and victimhood.
one victimhood, one victimhood. Black South Africans, they are always saying ANC is corrupt. Hey, white people or black people are very vocal about the corruption of ANC. Like they are very vocal that ANC is corrupt. Black people are, let me tell you something, right? I've never supported EFF since it was founded because I don't believe in racial division, and I don't believe in that kind of campaign whereby you have to like divide races to, I don't know, to win elections. And I remember when EFF was founded, it started about like all their movements had to do with race, right? Yes, during that time, to be honest, there were cases where you'll find a lot of white racists in South Africa. There were many videos where you'll find, especially I remember there was like this one video that made a lot of black South Africans angry back in the days. A child was swimming, like just a child. She was swimming in it was a boy actually. He was swimming in a public swimming pool, and this old white man they started beating, they were punching the young man, the young boy. Actually, the boy was a very young boy. It's a public swimming pool. He was swimming there, and grown white men, they started beating him. They started beating the boy. And during that time, I think many people supported EFF because it showed the side that many of South Africans were not actually aware of. That in as much as they are black, I don't know if they are black racist, maybe they are okay, I don't know, in as much as they are white racist, maybe there are also black racist, right? So when EFF started, it used to show us that side of white people like being racist against black people, black people in South Africa. So that video, I'm sure if you Google it, you will find it online. Grown, the most irritating part was like those were grown old men, two men busy punching the young black boy in the swimming pool because they were saying that the boy, because he is black, he's not supposed to use the swimming pool. Mind you, it is a public swimming pool. It's not like, maybe I would understand if the boy invaded their property and then swam in their home, but it was a public swimming pool. So during that time, EFF used to show like those kind of things. They used to protest for against racism. They were against racism, but as time went by, it they changed. I think they changed their, I don't know, their movements. Their movements were more like about racial division, black this, black that, and also many black South Africans stopped supporting them when they didn't address the issue of illegal immigration, because no one is against African people coming to South Africa. People are just against the idea that just because you're an African, you can just enter South Africa illegally and live in South Africa illegal. I think that's what people, even myself, I'm against that. I live abroad. I understand the frustration of getting a visa. So the idea that someone, just because they are black like me, they can enter South Africa illegally, I do not support that. If African people want to live in South Africa, they're allowed to, but they can do so legally. So let's go to what this lady is saying. So the first those first minutes were all lies. I don't agree with everything that she said. I did back.
Now, I don't say any of this lightly or with any joy. My dad grew up in Rhodesia, spent his teenage and university years.
Oh, so now this is about Rhodesia. South Africa is not Rhodesia, by the way.
And while a student at the University of Cape Town,
And this is another thing that these people don't understand, right? I am a South African. In South Africa, I learned the South African history. They don't teach me about Rhodesia. So sometimes, for example, it's just normal that I may not even know what happened to Zimbabwe, and I may not know what happened with the Rhodesia history. But you just know from social media, which is not something that I can say it is credible, because people lie a lot on social media. What you will learn on social media is that they say that the Zimbabweans, they pushed the white, I'm not sure if it's white farmers specifically or it were like white people also. I'm not sure. But when you learn about the Rhodesia issue, you will learn that um, the Zimbabweans, they drove the white people out of Zimbabwe. But I don't know, because I once saw a video of the former president of Zimbabwe, Mugabe. Mugabe said something like, they the idea was not to chase white people outside of or out of Zimbabwe. The idea was to um I don't know. The idea was to repatriate. I don't know the word. When you take back your repossess. The idea was to repossess the stolen lands. So that's what he said. That's what Mugabe said, right? I'm quoting Mugabe. But when you learn on social media, you learn that the Zimbabweans, they pushed white people out of Zimbabwe. I don't know the history of Zimbabwe. I'm not Zimbabwean. I'm South African. But you know what? I can read about it someday and learn a thing or two. Repatriate. Yes, repatriate. Thank you very much. Repatriate. So for me, I don't know. I don't know about like what really went down in Zimbabwe, but I don't know. Is South Africa trying to do the same thing? I also don't know. I also don't know.
Apartheid, including participating in the Purple Rain March, where protesters were sprayed with purple-dyed water cannons so police could
Oh, she's
identify
showing
and
a
arrest
video.
them.
I think this is a
They were smuggled
Rhodesia
out in the
video.
boot of a journalist's car. He, like millions of black and white South Africans alike, genuinely believed the promise of a new South Africa, built on equality of opportunity and dignity for all.
Are you
And when Nelson
ANC?
Mandela walked
No,
free
no,
after
no, no.
27 years in prison, millions of people around the world believe.
Right now in South Africa, I'm not affiliated to any party. I'm not affiliated to any political party right now. NC is corrupt, and like it's just a reality. We just have to face it. NC is corrupt, and I, I have posted this on my Instagram a while ago that the corruption of ANC, it is beyond repair. If I were to put it that way, it is beyond repair. It is deep. It is very deep. That's why you see a lot of people getting killed today. You see, like with the Madlanga Commission, what's happening with the Madlanga Commission, a lot of people are getting killed, and or many people who are involved there in the Madlanga Commission, they end up getting killed. So ANC, for me, if it was up to me, I would just say they should just give up the power, because removing them also could mean many other people dying. They should just give up the power, because the party is very corrupt. It is very corrupt. ANC is very corrupt. It's just very corrupt. It's very corrupt. I don't know who can save ANC, but I don't know.
That they were watching the birth of a new nation that could overcome its painful past and prove.
So basically, this lady is Zimbabwean, I suppose, because she said her father is from Rhodesia, which is Zimbabwe.
Was possible. Unfortunately, 30 years on, that's not what happened. Because South Africa did not replace apartheid with a colorblind society based on equal rights.
But you know, sometimes when I'm not trying to, I don't support ANC, right? But what is funny to me is that whenever people talk about ANC, right, they forget that ANC is a party with many white people, and it is a party that it is believed to be funded by white people. So, which sometimes for me it's bizarre. That's what I'm saying. Like ANC is quite. There's a lot going on with ANC that you don't understand. That I don't even understand myself. Because when people talk about even Nelson Mandela, there is this famous white family in South Africa that, like, they claim this white family is like they sponsored Nelson Mandela. You understand? So I don't know. I don't know, because in as much as the front people of ANC are blacks, behind it, it is rumored that it's white people. So
the rule of law.
I don't know.
One form of racial politics with another. And that is why the
And when it comes to South African laws, I studied law, by the way, even though I couldn't pronounce the word repatriate. I studied law, by the way. Let me tell you something about the South African jurisdiction. There, the laws are not made by black people. The laws are made by all those people who live in that country. All of them, people who live in that country, they make the laws. There are white judges, big judges in South Africa. They are white people. They are the ones who make the South African laws. So saying that black people are the ones who make laws, that's incorrect.
South Africa is a warning to us in the West. The same ideas that destroyed it are spreading through our own institutions. Equity above equality, identity over merit, grievance, not forgiveness, state control over private enterprise, and
Are you serious? South African, you know, people they do lie honestly, and it's irritating. When it comes to forgiveness, there are no forgiving people in this world like South Africans. Actually, I want to put it that way. In that country, we have managed, even under the corrupt ANC, we have managed to live in peace and harmony. That's forgiveness. That's forgiving people and understanding that this is not the person who beat up my grandparents or my ancestors. Forgiveness is there. Trust me. It is there. You know, my in my first year in university, I remember my law degree. I remember there was this seminar about land expropriation without compensation. During that time, I was not like, because for me, I don't quite follow like these things because they irritate me most of the time. So while I'm from like wait, I studied in Mafikeng, like Mafikeng campus, Northwest University. So Northwest University, it has like three campuses, right? We have like the Mafikeng one, we have the Potchefstroom one, and then we have the Val one. So in the seminar, the seminar was held at the Mafikeng campus. There, the Potchefstroom students came, which people know definitely they are white students. Val, it is mixed. Mafiken, it is dominated by like black students. So while we were in the seminar, right? I remember before the lecture started, right? We were seated in groups, right? We were seated in groups, like black kids were seated there, white kids were seated there, right? I mean, it happened. That was the reality. So what the lecturer did was that before he could start the lecture about white expropriation without compensation, he said that I am not going to start this lecture until you guys sit properly. The lecturer was black, by the way. He said, I'm not going to start this lecture until you guys are seated properly. And I think, I think this is my idea, right? I think the way we were seated, right? I think it was not like we are trying to separate. I think maybe like we were seated like that because my friends are black, so I was sitting with my black friends. Their friends were white, so they were sitting with their white friends. But I'm joking. No, we were actually segregation. There was a serious segregation in that classroom. So in the like, cause they were at the back. And then there were like maybe three empty rows in the middle, and then there were like black students like us in the front seats. So the lecturer said, okay, guys, you have to sit properly before I start the lecture. And then, of course, we said properly. We started mixing, mingling. And then he started with the lecture, right? So what I remember this one question posed by like a white South African student. She asked, "Why are we being blamed for the actions that were committed?" Actually she directed. I mean, she made the question personal. She made it about herself personal. She was like, why am I being blamed for the actions that were done by my ancestors?" Right? That was a very good question there. It was a very good question that got me thinking like, that's a very good question. It was a very good take or very good question because like she's not the one, or she was not even there when apartheid happened, but like why must she get blamed for things that are done by or things that were done by her ancestors? It was a very good question, very good question, very good question. So when it comes to forgiving, I will say to this later again, in South Africa, like we don't have issues. I will put it that way. The issues is with the politicians.
Racial preference over racial blindness.
And do you know why I'm also saying this is because the movements that you will come across in South Africa today have nothing to do with white people. The movements that you will see in South Africa, that you will never see these people talk about, the movements that are currently ongoing in South Africa today, right now, the Mazu case. Mazu is missing. He was not kidnapped by a white person. He was kidnapped by Pakistanis and Ethiopians, allegedly, right? So the movements, white people don't own tuck shops in South Africa. So there are no movements against white people. So I don't understand what this lady is saying, but I will continue. In South Africa, the movements that are ongoing right now, there are two movements. Actually, it's one movement. The movement is against illegal immigrants. And people, they need to understand, it's not against foreigners. It is not against Africans. It is against illegal immigrants. South Africa it is not a first world country like England. Even England, the first world country, they are struggling today. They are struggling to accommodate illegal immigrants. England, the first world country. Imagine South Africa. Oh, hello, hi, Sia. Hello, 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 hello. Yes, 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 yes. What was I saying? What was I saying? Oh, I was talking about like illegal immigrants, right? This thing of mass migration. Mass migration, it is affecting European countries today. European countries are the first world countries. They themselves are struggling. They're struggling to contain mass migration. And do you think South Africa, like just an emerging country, can accommodate mass migration and be able to solve whatever issues that comes with it? No. The USA, let's say the USA is a first world country. They themselves are also complaining about illegal immigrants. No one is calling them xenophobic. Nobody's calling Europeans, especially like the English. Nobody's calling like the English xenophobic. Nobody's calling Americans xenophobic for not wanting illegal immigrants in their country. But in South Africa, they always change these things. South Africa is like, I will repeat before I play this video. The movements in South Africa right now are not against Africans. There is no movement against white people. There is no movement against foreigners. The movements are clear. The movements are against illegal immigrants. Is That's it. That's what's happening in South Africa. Those movements that you watch where you see people try to twist the narratives, they are not against foreigners. They are not against Africans. They are not against white South Africans. They are directed to illegal immigrant issues in South Africa. That you can go and read their memorandum if you don't believe me.
South Africa isn't just a tragedy, it's a warning. To understand what went wrong, we need to wind back the clock about 30 years. Apartheid was a reprehensible system that denied basic rights to millions of people on the basis of race. So when it ended in 1994, there was a genuine opportunity to choose equality before the law, reconciliation, and a future where race was irrelevant rather than essential to who a
But
person
race
was.
is irrelevant in South Africa. You know, sometimes I do be thinking like I live in a different South Africa. I'm not joking. Sometimes when I hear people talk about South Africa, I'm like, was I born and raised in South Africa? But I almost died. No, seriously, whenever people talk about South Africa, sometimes I tend to question myself like, was I born and raised in South Africa? Because I sometimes feel like I was born and raised in a different country. In as much as I was born, even in a small, let me tell you something, a small town, Palabora, if you know PHP. In Palabora, we have Palabora in town, like the town, right? Black people, they live outside the town. White people, they have their own suburbs. They are also mixed with other black people there. When we go shopping, we go shopping. Whoever comes first will line up first. Whoever came up after will be behind whoever came first. Was there ever an incident to do with black people and white people fighting because of race? I don't recall that time. I don't remember that time. It has never happened in my lifetime or in my town where I come from. So I don't know. Maybe in other parts of South Africa they have these issues, race issues. I have no I But in my town, I've never came up. I lived in Pretoria. I lived in Johannesburg. My supervisor in university is white. My first supervisor was white for my master's. My supervisor now for my PhD is white. For me, I don't understand.
For a brief moment, it looked like that might happen. Nelson Mandela spoke about forgiveness and embraced his former oppressors with grace. He knew that if South Africa was built on revenge, it would collapse before it even began.
I mean, that is true.
Archbishop Desmond Tutu, a prominent Anglican bishop and anti-apartheid,
It's not even about, let's say, revenge, right? It's about humanity, I think. For me, it's all about human beings are human beings, irrespective of race, right? Human beings are human beings. Like, politics aside, if it weren't for politics, I'm telling you, we wouldn't be talking about races today. Race are things that were created by politicians and politics in general. But human beings are just human beings, and we are all human beings, trust me. We go through the same things, most of us. We have the same emotions. When people die, we all cry. When good things happen, we all smile, laugh, rejoice. For me, when it comes to race, I just always feel like this is politically motivated. It has to do with politics in general. I don't think amongst human beings people care about race. I don't think people care about race. I don't think so.
Helped establish the Truth and Reconciliation Commission to set the record straight on the evils of apartheid and then help the country move forward. He said the people of South Africa initiated the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, eschewing revenge and violence in favor of truth and forgiveness, and ultimately the reconstruction of our country.
Ah, that was this one too.
Through documenting the meditative techniques of Tibetan monks. That was the dream, but that dream didn't last. Because underneath the
But that
language,
dream is still very much alive. Miss Freya, what is her name? That dream, you people, you need to like really separate politics from real life. Because I'm South African, why can't I be obsessed with my country? Why are you people so obsessed with South Africa? I don't know which people you are referring to, Lutando, but I'm South African myself, so I think I have every right to talk about my country and clarify the propaganda that you are likely to come across on social media. For another thing that I've been asking myself recently is like, why 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 are people pushing a lot of like narrative or creating propaganda with with South Africa? Because I don't know, like, is there something in South Africa that is so, I don't know, that it's, I don't know, interest. Okay, South Africa is interesting as a country. Oh, she said, I thought you were one of them. No, 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 no. But sometimes I do wonder, don't you sometimes wonder, like, why are so many people obsessed with South Africa? Like, sometimes I do wonder, we don't even have oil, first thing foremost. In Nigeria, they have oil, they have crude there. We don't have that. But like, the obsession with South Africa is very mind blowing. I don't get it, also. I, because, like, the propaganda, and here's the thing, right? You think that this propaganda, it is only, oh, sorry, you will only read about it like when it comes to the Western media, but it's not only the Western media. Even Africans, our very own people, they also push the same agenda. I'm not even joking. Even Africans, there was that video of a Ghanaian guy who was taught by PA. They changed the narrative. I saw that the Ghanaian minister, I don't know if he's minister of what, that guy, he lied like on the national TV that South Africans are xenophobic. They attacked the Ghanaian guy. That guy was not even attacked. Like, he was just asked questions. And like, for me, when I watched that video, I saw two African people trying to enlighten one another. That's what I saw from that video. Because even the Ghanaian man, he was, trying, he was listening to Victoria when Victoria told him, like, guys, we must build our countries. I never understood also that, because if people are xenophobic, why would you want to live in a xenophobic country? People are crazy, yo. Propaganda again. Let's listen to this lady.
reconciliation, the African National Congress, Nelson Mandela's political party, and the governing party of South Africa since the fall of apartheid, had a much darker history and a much more radical ideology than many people in the West wanted to believe. Eventually, the party's moderates were replaced with a corrupt, race based ruling class that has run South Africa.
Guys, I need to ask this question. If South Africa had race law, those race laws as they call them here, don't you think like black people will be billionaires if we did have those race laws? I mean, the richest men in South Africa today, I mean, the top five richest men in South Africa today are all white. Five. Wait, five. It's Rupert. I don't know how to pronounce Rupert. Five. Wait, top richest. I know Rupert, Rupert, Rupert. Top richest South African. I know him because he has a bursary. Many of them they have bursaries. They have like the university bursaries. Ru- Johan or Johan Rupert. And if he's Afrikaner, it's Rupert. If he's Afrikaner, it's he. So these are the richest people in South Africa: Johan Rupert, Nikki Oppenheimer, Urs Becker, Patrice Motsepe, who is the only black person, and Michael Lerox. So now you are telling me that a country with racial laws would have like the richest people in it will be white? Are you serious? Are you really serious? The richest people in South Africa are white, and you're telling me that there are racial laws. Maybe racial laws are in Nigeria. The richest man in Africa is a black man, Dangote. Maybe they have racial laws there in Nigeria, but not in South Africa. That one I refuse. I don't agree with that one.
Into the ground. Contrary to the sanitized history you're probably taught in school, the ANC wasn't simply a civil rights movement. Nelson Mandela helped found its armed wing, known as MK, meaning Spear of the Nation. It was inspired by revolutionary movements like Fidel Castro's 26th of July movement in Cuba. Mandela studied guerrilla warfare and drew his ideas from Marxist revolutionaries like Mao Zedong and Che Guevara. MK was initially presented as separate from the ANC to protect their public image, but over time it became widely understood as the armed wing of the ANC.
But this is not true. Isn't it the party that is behind? If I'm not mistaken, it is SAPC, not MK. Neiman. It's SAPC or something like that. They actually right now. I think yesterday I read an article. They said they have separated that party that like was joined with it's SAPC or something like that. It was joined with ANC. Apparently, they said they have went their separate ways. Apparently, they are going to be contesting in the upcoming elections. Apparently, I don't know. Allegedly, I'm not sure, but not MK.
But in reality,
MK.
MK's definition of legitimate targets included collaborators, such as local councillors, witnesses in trials against ANC members, and
Wasn't Umkhonto was always there even before ANC?
owners. One example of their terror was the Church Street bombing in 1983 that killed 19 people and wounded 217. A total of 71 people died in such attacks directed by Mandela's group between 1976 and 1984.
Is there evidence for this? You see, I don't trust Western media. I'm not even joking. I don't trust it. That's one thing about me. I don't trust it. I'm sorry. I don't trust Western media. These people, they are good at fabricating stories. And because they have a lot of money, they campaign these stories. They really do. They are very good with propaganda. They're very good with propaganda. Like it's not even a joke. The Western propaganda is the most dangerous thing in the world. These people, they made people believe that China was the MK. It's MK. It's not this SAPC. I thought it was like because I saw in the news yesterday they say the co-founder of ANC SAPC they just went their separate ways. I don't know. It's MK. I need to revisit my history. So as I was talking about the Western propaganda, but anyways,
2 were civilians and 19 were security force members.
but do these people ever report that Winnie Madikizela Mandela also? I remember her house was also bombed in Soweto, but you will never hear them talk about this. Winnie Madikizela Mandela, like one of the biggest figure. in the history of South Africa. Her house was also bombed. Do you guys ever talk about that? Nobody.
Nelson Mandela remained on US terror watch lists until 2008. Many of its early members were white
No.
communists. Mandela himself was also linked to the South African Communist Party.
Yes, it's this one. South African Communist Party. This one. Oh. Yes, it's this one. South African. This one. SAPC. Communist. It's SACP. South African Communist Party. Apparently, NC and SACP they have went their separate ways. Apparently.
Committee in the 1960s, although this was never
Amen
publicly
to that.
acknowledged until after his death. And the ANC's worldview was never simply about equal rights. It was deeply shaped by revolutionary politics, Marxism, and the idea of racial struggle. They believed political power could be used to remake society from the top down. Now, none of this means apartheid was justified, but it does mean the Western myth of the ANC as a peaceful, liberal, democratic civil rights movement was always naive. And the violence wasn't only directed at the apartheid state. The ANC often used violence against its own supporters.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
So it's
I read about it. I think it was yesterday.
One of the most brutal ways this was done was through.
How old are you? I'm 27.
Necklacing.
I'm old.
Where
I'm a
tar would be
grandmother.
filled with petrol and placed around the victim's neck, then set on fire.
Yo, this is the most dumbest thing that I always hear. Let me tell you something. This is the problem when it comes to migration, which is something that I am kind of witnessing today when it comes to other African people, right? Let me tell you something. All countries around the world, they have their own ways of dealing with things, right? In South Africa, even today, sometimes not it's not like in the past. But mob justice, it is still very much alive in many South African communities. This means that if you commit a crime, especially things like rape, rape is very serious in South Africa. It is very, very serious. We take rape like seriously. If a guy rapes, like it doesn't matter a grandmother, if he's a rapist, if the community catches you, they will deal with you however they deem fit. It's called mob justice, right? It exists. That's how Black South Africans deal with criminality, right? I see this. There are some other Africans who are kind of expressing this also recently. And people they think it's xenophobia. It's not xenophobia. When you migrate to people's country, you need to learn their ways of living. And I don't support violence in general, but if you're going to change the narrative and think like, oh, is terrorism or this is xenophobic, then you are wrong because this is how black people have been for centuries. If you commit a crime in their community, if they catch you, they will black same you. That's the reality. I didn't create the rules. I don't create the rules. I grew up within the system just like that, and I am not the law. Mob justice is illegal, but people they still practice it even today. Just rape a person if you want to see. And in the past, they used to use the car tires. They will put the car tires right around your neck, and they will burn you alive. They used to do that. Nowadays, they don't do it like that. Nowadays, in Soweto is actually common. I think in Soweto you are likely to get like I don't know banned if you commit a serious crime there. If the police don't come on time in Soweto, but in other parts of South Africa, the community is just likely to beat you. That's what I'm saying. It's just the culture. I'm sorry. Maybe you can call it terrorism. You can call it whatever you call it. All countries they have ways of dealing with their own criminals. Like I said, I didn't make those rules. I grew up within that system. And that's just how people are. What am I supposed to say? That's how they deal with it. If you commit a crime, do do they will burn you alive.
Winnie Mandela, Nelson Mandela's wife, infamously spoke in support of this practice, saying, "With our boxes of."
You know what is the difference between burning people and death penalty? I mean, many countries still practice death penalty. You saw in Israel, like last month, the minister, that guy in Israel, they announced, or the parliament approved, the hanging of the Palestinians prisoners. So, I mean, that one is wrong because Palestinians are innocent in this case. But many countries, they do have death penalty. So how is the hanging of, how is using a tire different from killing a person using like the laws which you call death penalty? There's death penalty in the United States. The In China, they just also announced that, or reported that if a man, apparently, if you rape a child, you're going to get executed. So it happens. It's just that, I feel like sometimes these people, they tend to label these things with fancy names, and then they make them sound as if like they are better than other people's practices. Death penalty is no different from mob justice. They are like the same thing. Exactly. It is just illogical. It doesn't make sense. It makes zero sense. It does me. African people, sometimes we just have to be embarrassed with ourselves. You cannot. Today I had I had a lesson or a meeting. Okay, I had a meeting with one of my clients, and she was telling me about some Nigerians in Europe. Imagine, in Europe, selling drugs. Imagine. And you expect people to be quiet? People cannot be quiet because they're not used to seeing their brothers and sisters sleeping in the streets or walking like zombies. Of course, people will not keep quiet if they experience those kind of changes in their societies. It would be reasonable if people came with jobs in your country. South Africa, there's high unemployment rate. They brought jobs. If Nigerians brought jobs in South Africa, I think they would be loved. But the problem is like you bring drugs, and these drugs are not eaten by Nigerians, are eaten by South African kids, the future of that country. So
Patches and our necklaces, we will liberate
yeah, they
this
call it
country.
necklaces.
In 1991, she was convicted of
Oh,
kidnapping and being an accessory to assault.
I thought you said like Mazri's back. He's still not back. Oh, those people, I hope they didn't kill that poor young man. Otherwise, you guys will see what is xenophobia for the first time in South Africa. If they did something to Mazri, it's gonna be bad. Like I said, I don't support violence, but what will you do if foreigners kidnap your own people? Because the person supposedly, or the person opened a spaza shop in their own country. Imagine, they just kidnapped him because he opened a spaza shop in his own country.
Over the abduction and of Stompy Seppi and other boys. Her prison sentence was later reduced on appeal to a fine and a suspended sentence. When she appeared before the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in 1997,
Oh,
she dismissed the
hello.
allegations as absurd.
Hello, hi, greetings from Germany. Hello, how are you in Germany? Oh, I saw like this protest going on in Germany in solidarity with the Palestinians.
But the commission found that the abduction had been carried
Germany.
out on her
I wish I
instructions.
knew I could
She
speak German.
participated.
I can only like speak a little bit of Italian because most of my clients are Italian.
In the assaults,
Germany, German,
resisted efforts
no.
to secure their release and helped cover
Oh, it's
up what
hot.
happened to the boys
Is
by
it spring?
claiming
It is.
Seppi fled to.
Wait, I have a question, right? I always ask myself this very, my class this very same question. Why do you guys always change the time? Why do you guys always move the time? Like 1 hour ahead, 1 hour behind. Why do you always do that? You always move the time. Why? Why do you always change, move the time? Because really, really, Lutando, are you serious? Has it been confirmed? Has it been confirmed? I hope they didn't, because they're just gonna make this issue of illegal immigrants worse. I hope they didn't. This is my wish right now. I wish those Pakistanians or Somalis or Ethiopians, I wish they could bring Mazui back. You cannot kidnap a person in their own country, guys. If they kill that guy, okay, fine. I'm telling you, if they kill that guy, it's going to be it's going to be havoc in South Africa. It's going to be very bad. We don't want that. They should just bring him back and apologize. Are you serious? Yo, I'm just gonna be positive. I hope they didn't.
Botswana. In reality, he was murdered. The case became even more sinister.
This case again, it was not confirmed. This case.
Because the doctor who examined Stompy's body was then shot dead at his medical practice. Winnie Mandela's former associate testified before the Truth Commission that she was involved in the murder of Dr. Asvat to cover up the death of Stompy.
You see, this I don't trust this kind of things.
Winnie's main accuser, her former associate Katiza Kabukulu, was imprisoned and tortured by the ANC in Zambia. He subsequently sought asylum in the UK. And this is not ancient history. This is part of the moral foundation on which the new South Africa was built. And while Nelson Mandela himself often restrained the worst instincts of the ANC, including of his wife, once his moral authority faded, the movement increasingly returned to what it knew best: racial grievance, centralized power, and revolution.
This is for farming. No, exactly. She's lying. No, no. What she's saying, what this lady saying, yeah, Stompy died is true, but to be honest, no one really knows who killed Stompy. No one really knows. During apartheid, a lot of things happened, and there were a lot of people who were framed, so nobody knows. I mean, growing up, at some point, I remember Nelson Mandela was labeled a terrorist. Come on.
The tragedy of post-apartheid South Africa is that it had a chance to become a genuinely non-racial democracy.
It is a non-racial democracy, miss.
Equality gave way to equity. Now, equality means equal
I feel like
treatment.
people should just start calling South Africa for what it is, right? Call ANC for what it is. Say ANC is corrupt. I think I need to teach people. ANC is corrupt. Don't create stories because of the corruption of ANC. ANC is corrupt. It's true. It is true. No one can even dispute that. It's a fact. It is corrupt. But don't talk about the racial division that doesn't exist.
To the law. But equity means the state engineers outcomes between groups. Equality means every citizen has the same rights, whereas equity says the government can discriminate in order to achieve racial targets. Equality is about opportunity, while equity is enforced representation. And South Africa has become one of the clearest examples in the world of what happened.
Do you know what is interesting? I'm going to end this live now because I have a client coming now. I want to end this by saying, what is interesting for me is that in as much, let me tell you something, in as much as a lot is happening in South Africa, best believe me when I say what's happening in South Africa today is nothing compared to what is happening in many parts of the world today. I just want to say that, and to be clear, there is corruption in South Africa, there is crime in South Africa. You know why? Do you know why the crime rate is high in South Africa? Because the crime rate is reported. Many countries don't report their crimes. They don't. They don't even record them in many countries. That's why they have low crime rates. But it's always about the reality, what's on the ground. You have to visit these countries. I live in Thailand. Thailand is peaceful. I advise people when you have time, you should visit Thailand, Chiang Mai, Bangkok, wherever. But I will close. There are a lot of things happening in South Africa right now. Best believe me, South Africa is not the worst country on this planet right now. It isn't. It isn't. There is war in the Middle East. There are children getting starved there in Gaza. There is still an ongoing war between Ukraine and Russia. The USA, what's happening in the USA is even worse because no one even knows what is true, what is not true anymore. That is worse. At least in my country, I can pinpoint and be sure and tell you that there is an ANC and it's corrupt. There is EFF that keeps chanting nonsense. They need to stop. You understand? I can say that. I can say that about my country. Many people don't fucking know what's happening in their country today. They don't know. Many European people also, they don't know what's happening in Europe. They don't know. It's not even a joke. In England, the English, I live in Thailand. There are many Europeans in Thailand more than there are Africans here. Many English people here. Because what's happening in their country is beyond imaginable. So before you guys like talk nonsense about South Africa, always remember that in as much as that country is going through a lot under ANC, the greater nations around the world they are going through worse, and that is a fact. European countries are going through, shit. It's going down there. It's going down because their problems are not just political. Now are also religious. It's going down there. It's going down for real, if you know the song. So, yeah. So ANC is corrupt. We acknowledge that, but you guys are focused on the wrong country. Literally, you are focused on the wrong country. At least Black South Africans are trying to push away mass migration. In England, they gave up. They gave up. They gave up. They throw in the towel. They're no longer fighting. They gave up. They gave up. You go to Paris today. You know those places that used to be safe, tourist spots. Nobody wants to go there anymore because people like they get robbed broad daylight. Pickpocketing is serious in Paris today. London is not even the same anymore. England is even worse. If you want to talk about corruption and collapsing states in the world, NATO is collapsing, and it's a fact. NATO is collapsing. Nobody knows the future of NATO. Nobody. Nobody knows the future of NATO. Nobody. Those are serious issues because people they don't know the future of their countries. NATO is very important, and it has been very important for decades in Europe, but today it is shaken because of the Middle East war. Trump also, I don't know, he has announced this indefinite ceasefire. Has there ever been an indefinite ceasefire in any war? That has never happened anywhere in the world. It hasn't. In the United States right now as I'm speaking, they have the Congress. They are asking they're asking this Trump administration secretary, that Hegseth or whatever his name is, they're asking that guy what motivated this war. Nobody knows. And you do know why they're asking them? Because if they don't know, that means this war is illegal. Because if they have a valid reason, the war won't be illegal. As long as they don't give a valid reason, then this war is going to be what? An illegal war. And it will mean what? The US will have to be charged with war crime. The senators are trying to avoid that right now. But you see, nobody knows. They don't even know if they have military capability to fight Iran. They don't know that's what's happening in the world. They don't know. Americans are like to they are lied that, oh, we have the best military in the world. You don't. And you don't. That's a fact. They don't. Americans, they don't have the best military in the world. They have never fought any war in the world by themselves. All the wars they claim to have fought and won, they didn't fight those wars alone. They had the allies, or allies, call them those things, partners in simple English. They had partners. They are not winning any war in the Middle East. Stop. They are lying. They are lying to you. There is no war that is getting won in the Middle East. You see, those are states that are collapsing. Huh? Dollar. The dollar is the exchange currency, not rand. Rand has never been an exchange currency, so nothing is collapsing in South Africa. Rand has never been. Wait. Rand has never been an exchange currency in anywhere in the world. It has never been. So there is nothing collapsing in South Africa. Underground, we still have the minerals. We still do. We still have our minerals. Our minerals are still there. So what is collapsing? What is collapsing? Tell me what is collapsing. They keep saying South Africa is collapsing. Hey, the dollar is collapsing, not the rand. The rand is stable. We don't even have oil. Can you imagine? We don't even have oil, but we have the best economy in Africa. You can be proud if you're a South African. I mean, we have corruption. I accept that one. We can deal with that one later, but we need to stop supporting this nonsense of people saying South Africa is collapsing. South Africa collapsing what? We don't hold dollars there. We are rent people. Our rent is stable. It's not collapsing. So with that being said, let me go and see my client. Ciao ciao. I'm gonna be speaking Italian now.